Hey there, Facebook friends. How are you today? I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you are enjoying this beautiful weather. I'm so excited that summer is here where I live. I am trying to find the show on my cellular device so that I can share this out. And if you would do me a favor and like the show and share the show so that we can get this message out to as many people as possible. Hang on one second, I'm doing this. I'm sharing my passion with you today. Here we go, folks. Oops, wait a minute, I'm messing this up. Hold on a second. So you're liking the show, you're sharing the show, I'm doing the same, sharing this with all my fans over on Long-Term Wellness, sharing it in my private Facebook group. Been there, done that. Now I'm ready. And I am almost finished. Boom. There we go. I did it. Hey, Travis, thanks for being here. Hey, do me a favor. When you come in, after you've liked the show and shared the show, drop a comment down in the box. Let me know you're here. It's kind of like having pen pals. It's really nice to see folks. I know Tracy usually gets on and says, hey, from South Carolina. That's pretty cool. All right. So for those of you that are new, my name is Melissa Crispell. I am the clinical training specialist at Perk Integrative Health. And I totally forgot to plug my microphone in, so I hope that y'all can hear me well. Give me some thumbs ups. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. All right. Mike is watching. Thank you so much for being here today. So I'm the clinical training specialist. What does that even mean? It means that I train other clinicians and teach them how to use the LRA by ELISA ACT test and Perk nutraceuticals in their practice and help them grow their businesses. Hey, Jason, thanks for being here. All right, so I have a couple of props here for you. I have a little bit of show and tell. I'm sharing my passion with you today, and once I go through this test, I am going to tell you why I am so passionate about this, because I'm going to share a few stories with you. Not going to take too long, but I'm going to share a couple stories with you. All right, first of all, what is the LRA test? What does that even mean? LRA stands for lymphocyte response assay. So it's a test of the lymphocyte and what that lymphocyte is doing. Hey, Brian from Seattle and Dr. McGuckins, another Brian from Indiana. Thank y'all for being here. I'm sure that you've heard about tests that test your food or your chemical sensitivities. A lot of them just test foods. And the problem is that we're not reactive to just foods. We can be reactive to chemicals in the air that we breathe, or chemicals that get into our water supply, or even your soap. Even if you use really super, super good soap. SLS is soap itself. So that makes it a little tricky to find laundry detergent or bath soap or something along those lines. And that's why I love, 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 love the LRA by ELISA ACT test, because they test up to 512 different items. You will not find another test out there that tests that many. And I know you've heard all the sales pitches and you've heard people say, well, this is the best and this is the best. This is the best. It is the best because it has the most items and because it's the most specific. It is a functional test. We're not looking at antibodies here. I've heard people, I've seen them in private Facebook groups. I've seen them, all over the place talking about, I had the antibody to this. My antibody levels were this. Well, that's not the whole picture. We want to know what the lymphocyte is responding to. Just having an IgG antibody to something does not mean that you're necessarily having an actual reaction to it. It means that you've created an antibody to it. Chances are you might have had something with that item in the past, but it doesn't say you're having something with it right this moment. And that's why it is a functional test. So take a look at this. Can you see that wheel right there? So type 1, the type 1 pathway, this is the pathways of the immune system. The type 1 pathway, this is your IgE pathway. This is your immediate reaction. If you've ever had, the skin scratch test on your arms or on your back or something like that, and you had a reaction just like this, you had it in 30 minutes or less, that is an immediate reaction that is coming from the IgE pathway. And we're not talking about that today. I'm just sharing that with you so you see what I'm going with here. This is your type 2 pathway. This is your reactive antibodies. So you have your IgA, your IgM, and your IgG. As you can see by this chart, the IgG antibody is one small fraction of the type 2 delayed pathway. So you're really not looking at the whole picture. You're looking at a little tiny snapshot. You know, it's kind of like testing your fasting glucose or looking at the hemoglobin A1C. The fasting glucose is the snapshot in that moment. The hemoglobin A1C takes 3 months to change. So you're looking at a bigger picture. So we want to look at a bigger picture when we're talking about food and chemical sensitivities as well. You then have your type 3 immune complex, and you have your type 4, your T cell mediated responses. In order to be able to say you have an immune response to this, a delayed immune response, delayed, we're talking about delayed, we're not talking about immediate, you have to look at the whole picture. You know, remember when we were kids and we would get they're called, I don't know if it's a real thing or not, but they're called dut-duts, you know, the paper towel holder, and you're kind of looking through it like that. When you're not looking at the whole picture, you're looking through the little dut-dut and seeing little tiny speck there. Maybe it applies, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you've had a food and chemical sensitivity test, or docs that are watching. Maybe you run other brands of testing and your patients get this big old giant laundry list of things that they have to avoid. You ever try to tell a patient you have to avoid 50 different items? That's not fun. That's not fun, especially if you don't know that they are really having a reaction to those things. So, comprehensive, functional, it's also ex vivo. What does that mean? It means that it is the closest in-body experience outside of the body as possible. And that comes from the method that we do at the, well, not we, I should say, we the team, but they do at the lab there in Virginia. If you are a practitioner watching this show, you may open your account, as long as you're not in New York. We can't do the testing there in New York, but you can open your account. You can call the 800 number. They will get you started. You can go online to elisaact.com. That's ELISA, another A, no space, CT.com. You can fill out your form, your account setup form right there. You're going to go over to Hona, our business development specialist. She's going to teach you everything inside and out, how to order your test kits, how to do the blood draws, all of those fun things. She's going to teach you all of that. And then you'll get assigned over to one of your full-time clinical account specialists, and they will continue to educate you and help you as you're implementing this new system into your practice. Now, I want to show you my other show and tell. I want to show you what you're going to receive once you do this blood test. You're going to get a book like this. Everyone gets one. You see it says patient copy. Every patient is going to get this. It's spiral bound, has all your results in here, and I'm okay to share this with you because this is actually my report from last year. So it's time for me to do a retest. Actually, this was May 18th of 2018, so I'm a couple days overdue. It is time to test. So I'll show you. Out of the 406 items, there you go, that is what I was reactive to. Who in the world would have thought or would have known by using an elimination diet that I was reactive to kidney beans? I didn't have any symptoms necessarily surrounding the time that I was eating kidney beans, but I love beans. So there. Peppermint. I diffuse peppermint in my office. If I do have belly issues, I put peppermint essential oil on, on my belly. Peppermint mints, candy, all of those kinds of things. I was reactive to shrimp. Don't eat them very often, doesn't matter. If I ate that at the right time, meaning my gut was not right, it gets in there. That's what happens. You don't have to eat something all day, every single day in order to have a reaction to it. But we do become reactive to the things that we're exposed to most, and that's the laws of math there. That's probability. So I was also reactive to chicken egg yolks, not the egg white, not the chicken, but the egg yolk. I was reactive to red chili peppers. I was reactive to cinnamon. Cinnamon went in my coffee because I love that. Reactive to honey, reactive to thyme, rose hips, annatto, There's nothing wrong with annatto. That's how they color cheese. But it wasn't working for me. So had to cut that out. Another item that I was reactive to, which was a little bit disturbing to me, was carrageenan. I do a very good job of making sure when I buy commercial ice creams and those kinds of things, I drink oat milk. I make sure that carrageenan is not in there. We know some of the dangers of carrageenan, and so I really choose not to have that. But you know, when you travel a lot and you eat out, sometimes you can't help the quality that's being put on the table in front of you. It might be a really great place, but if the oat milk that they had at their coffee shop, you know, has carrageenan in it, I didn't have any control over that. So that falls into one of those categories that I called, you know, just love it, bless it, and move on. Take care of that with detoxification, take care of that with some gut repair, and then rebalance the system with those essential nutrients that we all need. Another item that I was reactive to was rose hips. Nothing wrong with rose hips at all. Happened to be in one of my face creams. Just wasn't working for me. So as you can see, I didn't have anything that was like super, super scary this time, because I have done the work in making sure that there's filter on my shower, there's a filter on my drinking water, really cleaning up the environmental aspects of our house, excuse me, and doing the best that we can with that here in our home where we can control the environment. The things that I came up reactive to are the things that I eat. And there's really not a whole lot I could do about that either. I did have to avoid those items. The shrimp, kidney beans, and peppermint was I avoided for 6 months. And then the other items I avoided for 3 months. And during that time, I did just what I described, was detoxify, repair, and rebuild my system. And so now it's time to test again and see where I am, see what happened. Now, in your report, you'll have the page that has all of your reactive items. You're then going to have, hopefully you have pages of items that you're not reactive to at all. And then you have a nice letter from Dr. Jaffe in there. You have a history and discussion, a source of exposure, and a substitution for every single item on there. So ELISA Act has taken the guesswork out for you. They're helping you help your patients and making this transition as easy as it possibly can be. I'm not saying it's easy, but they're not having to sit back and guess and, oh wow, if I can't eat these things, what can I eat? You know, or I don't know what this item is, where do I find it? Well, it's written right here. It tells you exactly where to find it. Also tells you, like for instance here with the chicken egg yolk, it lists out baked goods, because people might not think, it might not occur to them, oh, hey, I do eat, you know, bread. Maybe that has egg yolk in it. I do eat cookies, or I make cookies. Probably has egg yolk in it. It helps them to understand where they are coming in contact with these items so that they can better avoid them. You'll also have a list of supplement recommendations if you fill out the health assessment questionnaire that comes with every test kit. I did not do that, mostly because I've been doing this for so many years. Having the supplement recommendation was not necessary. I don't want to put anyone through any unnecessary work there at the lab. But I did put the meal rotation plan in, mostly because I like to show these to clients, to customers, because I want them to see that even I have to go through this as well in order to stay my healthiest and stay my best. So there's a rotation diet in here. It's broken down into categories. So fish, fowl, fruit, grains, meat. Miscellaneous would be something like herb tea or seaweed broth or a miso broth. Mollusks are in here, spices and seasonings, and then vegetables. Now there's one day here that's designed to be a day that gives you some rest for the gut work that you're doing and for your digestive system. So if you could use broths and juices, that is the best scenario. If you were to have, you know, soft fruits, stewed fruits, or say sauteed vegetables, that would be kind of in the middle, the better, you know, good, better, best. Well, I guess better and then best. I was trying to talk backwards. You know, they get on me about these analogies. Last week I started talking about football and then switched over to basketball and didn't tell anybody what I was doing. So sometimes it just happens like that. Last but not least, after you have your rotation plan, you have this cute little card. Let me see if I can pop it off. This cute little card that you can put in your wallet. You can put it in your pocketbook, put it in your backpack, whatever you want. It'll help you when you go out to supper and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot what I'm supposed to, avoid. It's all right here. It goes with you. And it seems to be just a really great tool for most clients. They really just like that part. The easier we can make this on folks, the more likely they are to follow through and actually, accomplish the whole thing. Look at that. Abby Holtz is on. Hey girl, thanks for being here. Jay is here. Ashley, our sales rep, is here. My goodness, everybody's here today. That's awesome. All right, on to a few. Actually, I'm just going to share one really awesome story with you. It was really, really moving for me to read the testimonial that this mama provided me. I was doing some work with one of the chiropractors, and they were just starting with food and chemical sensitivity testing. They called me and they asked me to talk with this family and see what was going on, to kind of look at the facts and see if food and chemical sensitivity testing was the thing to do. And it turns out when I met this mom who had brought her little boy in, she had heard about some work that I had done for someone else's little girl at one of the natural food stores. And so she had already heard about me. She knew what it was that I do, what I'm passionate about. And so she was prepared for this conversation, which was really cool. So we talked about doing some food and chemical sensitivity testing, made the recommendation. She went through with it. It turns out that the little boy was reactive to all of the natural things that she was doing for him. I'll tell you this, he was 85% covered with psoriasis and eczema on his skin. And she worked at that natural food store and she monitored everything. He wasn't having food dyes. He wasn't having, the harsh chemical derived bath soaps and shampoos and toothpaste and all of those things. She was using baking soda to wash their clothes. So he wasn't getting, I don't want to down any specific companies, but the big orange bottle of laundry detergent or the big green bottle with all the colors, dyes, and fragrances, he wasn't getting any of that. He was reactive to lavender. He was reactive to honey. He was reactive to peanuts. He was reactive to oats. His mom was using an oatmeal bath to try and calm the irritation of his skin. It wasn't so much the physical part that was so moving to me. This little boy was wanting to wear sweatshirts and jeans in 80-degree weather because he was so embarrassed by the condition of his skin. He didn't want to play t-ball anymore because he didn't want people to see his arms and his legs, and all of it was almost like track marks where his nails had dug in and he was gouging his own skin because he was scratching so intensely and so fiercely. So, it helped to see the LRA by ELISA Act test results so that she could further refine the foods that he was eating and the things that he was exposed to. And we did some family work and some talk and some of those kinds of other activities. And, it turns out that stress was a really big part of why his system became so reactive. This little boy had gone through a divorce with his mama and daddy, and his mama had got remarried, and the relationship wasn't the best for him. He wasn't getting what he needed out of the whole situation. And so we did some work around that and how they could communicate better. And, as he was healing emotionally, he was also healing physically. And that LRA by ELISA Act test was huge in helping him to heal physically because he was able to remove those items for that period of time and eat foods that he liked, eat foods that were fun, eat foods that had been taken away from him because of a previous elimination plan. And, to read the testimonial that they gave, the mom just said, we got our lives back, that everything that they were doing was surrounding him and taking care of him. And so many relationships were falling because he was so sick, and they needed to get something to help him and get him past that stage. You know, I hear it all the time. I was diabetic, and I took this test, and I revamped my food. I revamped my pantry, my bathroom, my medicine chest. I started exercising, drinking more water, sleeping better, staying hydrated, you know, all of those things. And I'm no longer diabetic. I can't even tell you how many times I have heard that story. If y'all stick around long enough, you'll get to hear that story of someone else that's very close to me that went through the exact same thing. And hopefully we'll get to do a webinar soon and you'll get to watch that. But practitioners, if you're out there and you're listening, let me tell you this. This LRA by ELISA Act test is not a last resort type test. It is a first line approach before we do anything else. You know, if we're giving out supplements, we're giving out medications, people can be reactive to herbs that are in those supplements. You saw the rose hips on mine. I had lemon once upon a time. I've seen people that are reactive to pomegranate, things that are actually in these supplements, therapeutic herbs and such. So, you know, even before we're giving out supplements, we want to look and see what is offending this person's immune system so that we can remove those for a period of time, help reduce that inflammation, and invoke the natural healing response. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. It is peaking inside the immune system. If you are suffering from an autoimmune condition, you're suffering from a mystery illness, this is the test to go to. It's going to give you some answers. Is it going to solve the whole problem? Well, that's up to you. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But you don't know if you don't try. All right, y'all. I have something really, really pressing to do. We've got some big news coming, and I'm going to share that with you hopefully next week. Hopefully I'll be able to share that with you. But I have to get going. I will see you again next Tuesday at 2:30. I'll be coming to you live from San Antonio. I will be heading down there for the IFM conference. And if y'all are going to be there, stop by booth number 417. I'd love to meet you in person. Maybe we can go get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, or heck, we can even hang out by the pool together if you want to. But I will be in San Antonio next week coming to you live. So I will see you next Tuesday. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.